Hello, glorious sisters. Welcome. Today we get to sit with the beautiful goddess, Jonita Dsouza. Welcome, dear sister, to just share a little bit with you about this beautiful woman. She's born in India, settled in England. Janita is a self-leadership mentor for women, a feminine lifestylist, and creatress of feminine Empress codes, assisting modern-day busy women who struggle with burnout, body love, and authentic expression to reconnect with their feminine and sensual energy using the ancient feminine Taoist tantric somatic arts. There's lots more. You can read the rest. For now, let's just welcome beautiful Janita. Hello, love.
Yes, hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Anahita. It's such a pleasure to finally sit together and co-create
Yes.
this time.
Yes, beautiful. I'm looking forward to it. So the intention to be of the highest service to our sisters. And how did you get set put on this path? How did you get here?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to keep it precise and
Yeah,
concise.
yeah,
Um,
yes. But just so
yeah,
we
so
know, yeah.
Mhm. So as you said in my introduction, I was born in India, and growing up, I had this image of Western women, and my source of reference was just MTV at that time.
Right.
So, right, so I relate to your story so much because I could feel where I was coming from, and I was in my teenage years. I would look up to Western women and think that women in the West are free. They get to
Mhm.
wear whatever they want. They get to express themselves. They get to walk freely, be themselves. So I grew up in India in the 80s and 90s, and it was not a free society as it is right now.
Mm.
So always conspired to be an independent woman. I came from a very privileged family where the thought was distilled in me that in order to be independent, you should be financially free. So you
Mhm.
need to study hard and get a really good job so you make good money, then you are under no man's shoes, and then you can be independent. So I really believed that in pursuit of independence as a teenager, and I studied really hard. And like most Indians, I became an IT engineer and started working.
Right.
Right. And, and so typical. And then, so at the age of 21, I had a really good job, and started making money. And I was in this boardroom with men, but I really did not feel independent. I did not even feel expressed. And I kept feeling inside of me that I need to be in the West because Western women are free. Indian women
Mhm.
can make money, but they're still not free. So there's something missing. And I was an introvert and never taken seriously at work. And eventually, I had an opportunity to move to London, and I grabbed
Mhm.
that opportunity thinking that this is my ticket to freedom. And I got to London, I made friends, I started a new job there. It was so good, and I felt free for the very first time. I exploited myself, and I was thinking I can wear whatever I want. It is safe here. I can express myself. I don't have to put a mask and be serious. And I had so many girlfriends, and the typical IT job when, on weekends you would socialize, and after a few drinks, ladies began to share with me that they feel incomplete because they are tired of just looking good and being the sexy in order to be accepted at work, in their relationship, to be taken seriously. And I realized in that moment, wow, these women, they look free but they don't feel free, and here I am trying to imitate them. And so that
Mhm.
was a
Right.
that was a big moment of aha,
Yeah.
that it isn't about the East or the West. We all have something that is missing that we don't know how to pinpoint to, and there is no clear definition of how a woman or a woman into developing into a woman looks like, and values and all of that. So it was really confusing for me. And that was this moment that I felt really sick. I went into a depressive state. My father in India died. I couldn't get over that depression. I developed psoriasis. So everything was crumbling. My relationship, my health. And through that dark night of the soul moment, I came across a teacher who was sharing about feminine essence. And through that inquiry, I started learning more about the divine feminine archetypes and realized that I was always among those archetypes while I was in India. Never gave
Yeah.
importance to all of that because it just
Yeah.
felt like a part of a religion rather than a
Mhm.
calling. And I had to be removed from my roots to really understand the true meaning of my roots. So hence the inquiry began, and eventually it just started into me sharing this work to women.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So can you share a little bit? I'm personally curious when I look at your bio, the piece around well, the Tao Tantric Somatic Arts. So yeah, share a little bit about that, and then I'm also really wanting to know about the feminine Empress codes. What are the feminine Empress codes?
Um, so, so I started learning the feminine archetypes through some teachers in
Mhm.
Glastonbury and in London, and I realized that what they were teaching mostly was something that was um, really of my lineage, like the tantric arts.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was learning more about the tantric arts of sexuality and stuff. And when I started visiting home to visit my family, that's when I started connecting with the teachers there to really get their perspective. And I was always left really frustrated because I never got any straight answers from them, like how I would get from the teachers. So it was really frustrating because there was a concept of tantra which was so much more than just sexuality, but the real
Mhm.
interweaving of life and divine and transfiguration of life itself, which was missing, I felt, where I was learning more about tantra. So I began to learn the classical tantra, which was also a lot about shadow work, the dark work,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not many talk about that, and it's always focused. I found it to be really focused on sexuality and orgasms and hot sex, and like
Right.
the moment tantra is mentioned, there's a connotation that it's all about sexuality.
Mhm.
So I started learning those modalities from the classical teachers, which really led me to help create a bridge between how I can understand those negative emotions that I go through on a regular basis as a woman, and not attach my identity to it and think that something is wrong with me because I'm doing so much of healing work, I'm doing so much of goddess work, and I still have those dark emotions. Like, what
Mhm.
do I do with it? So that's how my inquiry began around that topic. It
Yeah.
also led to it also led me to experience plant ceremony ayahuasca, where I
Mhm.
was channeled into this Empress codes archetype. And
Mm.
um, it felt really scary for me because I decided to do this work of exploring femininity because I was exploring femininity. And my company's name is Exploring Femininity because that's how my journey began. And I realized that I fell into the same patterns of burnout and pushing and trying to create a business, like how I was while I was in a 9 to 5 job in my IT world. And I needed some archetypes to really ground me. So this ceremony really showed me to create an archetype that consisted of the lover archetype, the mother archetype, and the warrior archetype. So I started integrating these archetypes on a regular basis, and I combined it into an Empress codes. And that's what
Mm.
my work around this modality is, to really dive into the lover archetype so that we nourish our bodies, feel
Mhm.
safe in our bodies, and then go into our womb wisdom through our mother archetype, but then also source our heart's courage to show up in the world.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, I love that you have a connection to Glastonbury. And, I just, as you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, we have to get together next time I'm in England. We always stop in London. So I haven't come for a couple of years, but anyway, I don't want to get off into a chat because there's a lot that you shared that I want to get into. And the piece that you were just sharing a little bit earlier around, the shadow, because it is true, the neo tantra, that is kind of really what's mostly associated in the West, is definitely sort of like sex and sexuality and sexual intimacy. And then there is the original, the possibility and potential of where all things unite in the heart center. And you're saying, oh, I'm exploring all this goddess stuff, and there's all this dark stuff that's coming up. So really kind of wanting to explore that together, the dark feminine, and how to, be in this lovership with the dark feminine as opposed to avoidant and scared.
Yeah. So it was bothering me when I started my journey of healing. I thought how it was portrayed that it's going to be all love and light, but all I was experiencing was more sadness and anger. And at the time, my teacher, she said that it's quite normal for women when they start this work to encounter a lot of anger and sadness, and this is part of the journey. So it's not just love and light. This is part of the nature of the feminine. There is nothing wrong with you, because I was thinking that something is wrong with me. Why am I not all happy, love, and light now that I'm healing, right? And so I started exploring the dark element, and then realized that there is a significant difference between doing the shadow work and the dark feminine work. The shadow work comes into shedding light into our unhealthy qualities and where we are allowing it to take part in our life, whereas the dark feminine qualities, I would say, are those qualities of power that I feel is repressed by our own selves. And this was significantly relieving for me, because then I knew that it was up to me right now to let pieces of my power become free. So I realized that the dark feminine inside of us is just this part of our suppressed power that just wants our attention. And most of the times we as women are the ones oppressing ourselves in these ways, because these dark emotions, they are always there. They're always speaking to us. They always nudging us in many ways, but we don't like to hear, we don't like to listen, we don't like to even respond. So my inquiry really began about working with these dark elements and making loving relationship with these dark emotions, because there was no getting rid of my fear, shame, and guilt. I realized the more I thought of healing that and overcoming it, the more I met new levels of it at a later stage in my life, or at all stages, right? So it was quite tiring to be fighting it. And rather, when we started learning and doing more womb work, especially around Tibetan dark womb work, it's all about using our dragon side to really feel ecstatic in our body. So that way it's cultivating this beautiful loving relationship with this repressed part of ourselves without judging, denying, or even creating any kind of a negative association with it, just to see this part of ourselves wanting to become conscious. And the more I started working with it, it really opened up my creativity. And that was the biggest gift. It was just pure creation coming out through this darkness. There was, before I was trying to figure out how to meet this darkness and how to heal and how to work with it. And then I realized there is no working with it. There is just feeling it, because then she leads you, and then you go into your creative juice. And that creativity helped me to put my work out in the world in beautiful ways, and also source courage that I don't have to know everything. It's coming through me.
Yeah, beautiful. So when you say feel into it, then what supported you to have the courage to lean into feeling it?
Firstly, I couldn't have done this without being held in a space, because I was always going into my head, am I going to be safe? Am I going to be safe? But there were moments where I just allowed myself to just fall into the darkness, just fall into the feeling. I was afraid to feel the pain. And it kind of looked like I took out the band-aid out of my wound and let myself bleed and cry. And through my depth, I realized that I cannot go further down. This is it. This is it. And in this, I am so rested, and it is so peaceful when I'm not fighting it, and I'm feeling it, and that's it. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid of it.
Yeah.
And
Being
but
held. So being held and having the support, I think it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference because it's just
yes,
going into the dark. It's like the way I think of it as you share that is like when I wake up in my own house, let's say the power goes out and you wake up in your own house, you know how to get to the door, you know how to get to the
yeah,
bathroom. But if you wake up in somebody else's house and the power goes out, or a place that, like maybe you just didn't even have time to explore and you just wake up and it's dark, you actually don't know how to get around. So if the person who knows that terrain could just come and hold your hand, then
mm,
you feel totally fine to go through the dark because somebody knows the path, and just enough to kind of find your way in the dark. And so I
it,
wanted to just kind of make that connection because it makes all the difference.
it does. And
Yeah.
working the dark goddess archetypes also helped me through those through journeying different layers of my emotions, because when we read more about the dark goddesses, we see that their their way is to mirror us, reflect us, the part of
Yeah.
ourselves that we have not accepted and we have repressed. So working with specifically goddess Kali and black Tara really helped me to
Mm-hmm.
feel the embrace of this, this
Yeah.
mother energy. There is
Yeah.
there's a connotation that Kali is just the anger and the fears, but then Kali is the
Mm,
Kali
mm,
Ma,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and she can only destroy
Yeah.
things that can be destroyed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so me being held in that divine feminine archetypes
Mm-hmm.
also was resting place just to work
Mm-hmm.
with these archetypes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You like to talk about mistressing your dark feminine. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So the left brainer inside of me, the IT engineer, always wants to make sense of all the spiritual concepts and to make myself understand why am I doing what am I doing. So I
Mm-hmm.
was really interested in reading about the courtesans, and I found
Mm-hmm.
out about that they were also called the mistresses, and initially this word or this archetype really meant woman who has authority over a form of art.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in the 14th century the word mistress got a notorious meaning, but in its all entirety, in its root, the mistress was or has been a woman who has authority over a form of art. And so I felt like, wow, instead of me mastering the dark feminine, how about I mistress my dark feminine power? How about I go on a journey to meet this dark feminine inside of me on a regular basis, because as I cycle, she comes back to me specifically during the premenstruation period. She's right there, and I feel that this is the potent time for me to mistress and learn this art rather than suppressing her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's like even just as you said that, I was having this sort of like, because we also work with archetypes in my programs, and I was feeling this like, yeah, the energy is so different when we step into seducing the archetype. Like even like, you know, come, right? It's like that is very different than like invoking or wanting to learn about and understand. They're just such different energies when this like being in ownership of the power that I can bring you in, the ownership of that. Gosh, yeah, and I love that you mentioned the courtesans. I've lived so many lifetimes as a courtesan. It's it's like,
I can
you
feel
know
that oozing out of you.
oh my goodness. I was 17. This is one of these moments that like change the course of your life. I was 17. I was with my first love. I was at his family's house, and this doctor who was very advanced at the time, he used to do like muscle testing. This is like almost 30 years ago. He used to do muscle testing and then tell people like what movies to watch for healing and like what foods to eat and not to eat. Anyway, I don't know if I think this was a movie that he told my boyfriend's wife, mom to watch. It was Dangerous Beauty. But and I'm sure
Uh-huh.
you know the movie, but those of you, if you have never watched it, if you're sitting here with us and you have not watched Dangerous Beauty, please watch it. It's an initiation for sure. And I was 17, and I
Of
remember sitting
goosebumps,
on the
yes.
floor with his family who were quite awake. We were all like in a path of transformation together. I'd met him at Landmark, but I was 17. I mean, I was young, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this film, and it was like, oh my God, like this woman is my soulmate, and like all of my parts are waking up on the floor of my boyfriend's parents' house watching the story of this courtesan. So I love that you brought that energy in, because I think for whatever reason it was important to mention that film and bring in the courtesan energy for our
Mm.
sisters who are tuning in. If you're wanting to be mistressing the dark feminine, to just become more familiar or have a remembering of the courtesan energy as a power that can just be so supportive.
Yeah, yeah, and I want to speak to that movie. I want to speak about my experience. I After watching that, I had a realization that I need to stop chasing safety. Like there was like she was so safe in her, just in her entirety, that there was no need for safety around. And I realized, like, oh my God, we women are taught that we like safety. You seek safety in the man, and safe environment, safe places. And I'm always looking to create safety. But hey, what if I'm not chasing safety anymore? But what if I'm seducing safety inside of me? What if I'm just
Mhm.
playing with this element and this quality of safety inside of me? And it is a choice that I
Yeah.
have to, because also growing up in India, I never felt safe. I was afraid of
Right,
men
right,
around me.
right.
So I had made a decision at that time, unconsciously. I did not realize at the age of 16 that I'm not gonna be ever raped. This is it. This is not my reality. It's not
Okay,
gonna
yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
And that's a decision I had made. Now when I look back, I did it out of fear, not because of
Hmm.
authority and anything else.
Hmm.
I did
Hmm.
it out of fear, but it kind of made me realize that, hey, yes, as an adult woman, even now, I need to choose safety on a regular basis.
Hmm.
I need to bring that to my body, and I need to
Hmm.
induce in myself rather than
Hmm.
chasing it outside of myself. So that
Hmm.
movie really taught me this.
Yeah, I think there have been many of us who've had initiations with that film, and there was a program that I led many years ago with my sister Himalaya. I'm sure you know who she is. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and we watched, like, at the beginning of this program that we led together. We all watched that film together at the beginning, because it was just like part of the
Mm.
initiation. And there was something that you were sharing, um, yeah, around. Oh, there's this quote that I heard years ago by a yoga teacher, by a very luscious male yoga teacher, who was just like, oh my God. And I've used it so many times, and it's one of the most beautiful things I ever heard. He said, your body has been waiting for the safety of love,
Mm.
like your own love, like that, and so the ability to choose safety and the inner authority and the self-love, and that gets to support that choice. And I want to bring that in, because we are talking about playing with the darker feminine energies. And just as a reminder that we're saying, and you're saying, that it's all in the arms of the love. It's all in the mother, the Kali
Mm.
Ma. It's in that being held in that love that allows the rising of the power. So
Mm.
can we speak a little bit to the power element, like the dark feminine power? And is this, when we say dark feminine power, you're not speaking of, but if you can just open it up around, sort of like the cinematic, the movies, the Hollywood, oh, like the dark witch and the light witch, like the dark power. The dark feminine power doesn't actually mean like bad, evil, dark. So what does it
Mm.
actually mean?
This is so interesting that you said dark feminine does not mean bad and evil. I have been leading dark feminine retreats in Glastonbury, and there were times that some of the retreat centers will not offer me the space as soon as they heard the title of my retreat, Reclaim the
Wow.
Power of Dark Feminine, because it was an angelic
Because
power.
of, well, yeah, because of what Glastonbury is. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So I noticed I experienced a lot of resistance around this dark feminine power, just as the word. I did not even realize that people would be resistant, especially in the spiritual world. And I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised that on the day when my retreat was starting, the owner came and said that you need to come and explain me your entire curriculum, because this is an angelic house and I don't know what you will be invoking here with your women. And I had asked the women on the first day to wear black and come for the opening circle, so she was just terrified and she stopped it before it started. And I was in
Oh.
tears. I was like, no, 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 let me explain you. So yeah, the dark feminine power is not bad or evil. I like in some of the in a book Law of Light that I read about Yeshua
Mm-hmm.
mentioning that the darkness as the black light.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like really resonated with me, because
Mm-hmm.
creation
Mm-hmm.
comes from the darkness, from the void. The womb is the
Mm-hmm.
dark, the yin is the dark. So the power
Mm-hmm.
is about yielding that darkness, that void, and not doing some magic, black magic or witchcraft to create power, but really
Mm-hmm.
going into the void to resource your own power, your own meaning of power. And power literally means potentiality to me and nothing
Mm-hmm.
else. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a very bad connotation with the word power, because we were not taught as women, especially. I can speak to myself that I was afraid of power. Forget about my own power. I was just afraid of power, and I did not want to be powerful because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be nice and accepted by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
so to accept my own power, and that's what the dark feminine power in my work is, to really go and feel the taste of your own power, how your voice changes, how your breath changes, how your posture changes. And it is really, really juicy too.
Wow. Thank you. The thing you said about you wanted to be liked and accepted. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That will just kill. It will kill all the empowerment.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the thing you said about power being potentiality, I really love that. You know, we're doing this in one of my programs. We have this sort of, the beginning is this Persephone initiation, where it's these tools for navigating the shadow material as they come up and working with the dark feminine. And one of the things, you know, I kept saying this, and the faces of the sisters, you know, I kept saying, just hear this: all power is equally light and dark. All power is equally light and dark. And so to me, that goes exactly with that. All power is just potentiality. And so it's the choice, but a true choice only comes from a place that is not avoidant or fearful or pushing against, but it's a real ability to be in presence and connection and open heart with the full spectrum of that energy. And then choosing, and from that choice, allowing the potential to express through. So I really love those things that you just shared. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yay. Yay. Well, I'm so happy that we're getting to sit here together. Gosh, I'm wondering. So, I think we had talked about you potentially offering some journaling questions. Should we do that? Should we just offer? We'll drop them in written also for those who are tuning in, so that you can, in terms of you know, questions to how to listen to the dark feminine power. How do you feel
Yeah,
about that?
yeah, I can suggest a couple of journaling questions.
Yeah.
And for me, this has been really effective during my, if you're still bleeding in your during your premenstrual phase,
Mm-hmm.
when you are really triggered by your emotions. I think it's a really beautiful time to work with your dark feminine energy, and really choosing to look at those
Mm-hmm.
part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions is, to look into what part of yourself are you denying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this has different answers for me in different phases of my menstrual cycle. Yet I found over analyzing through months that the best answers are during the premenstrual phase, because that's where you can really go into the depth and
Mm-hmm.
emotions are heightened.
Mm-hmm.
And the second question that I can offer is, what burdens are you carrying? Because
Mm-hmm.
this kind of also builds a lot of resentment inside of us that we
Mm-hmm.
silently carry, or we think we can carry, and it's okay, until one day it all pops out. And what is what is stopping you to live out loud? Yeah, I think
What was
these
the
are,
last thing? What was the last one you said?
what is stopping you to live out loud?
Mm-hmm.
What is stopping you to be expressed? And I realized that I had to take ownership after journaling these questions quite a few times, that it was always me. It's so easy to think it's the circumstance, it's my partner, it's my mother, and it's my job and all of that. Eventually I realized that, wow, it's about me. And now it's about my self leadership. Like, how am I going to now influence my own self into leading myself through this phase?
Yeah, so beautiful. Thank you. I'm so happy we finally got to sit together, and I can't wait till we get to meet in person and do more things. And I can't wait to also hear from those of you who are tuning in about what you get answering these questions. So please share in the Facebook group. Let us know what's going on. Let us be in this exploration together. Janita, thank you. Thank you, dear goddess, sister, priestess. Appreciate you so much. And you have a free gift for our sisters. What is that?
Yes, it's such a pleasure to talk about this dark feminine energy. There are not many places or spaces, I would say. My free gift is called Dark Feminine Listening Practice, and it's
Mm-hmm.
an audio guide. It's a 15 minutes audio guide where I will lead you into a journey to meet with your dark feminine, and then possibly then you can go into this journaling question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you so much, love. Appreciate you and
Thank
all
you,
that you're,
Anahita.
yeah, shining the light you're shining in the world. Sisters, sending you so much love and blessings as we all just continue to embrace all the parts in the essence of love and the heart. That is just the source of everything. Blessings.